Hey, what's up? Welcome back to German Chocolate Life of a Mixed Girl. I'm Jessica Vivian, aka German Choc, and today is a very special episode because today we have behind the scenes of an animated series with my friend Pedro Melendez. Pedro Melendez is the creator of Laundromax, and I'm excited that you're here. Hi, Pedro.
Hi, it's a pleasure to be here.
Yes, I was so stoked. I mean, I'm always thinking about topics like what would be interesting and what in my life or what would other creators or people that want to get into know. And I was like, oh, this is perfect because when you and I talk, okay, so I'm gonna get into like how we know each other, but whenever we hit each other up on Instagram DMs, it goes like back and forth, and you can
Yeah.
you can vouch for the most annoying thing, which probably is a good thing for people like us that love to talk, that it cuts us off at 1 minute every time.
Yes. Yes. I have. It even happens with everything. It's like even in Messenger, I'm like, which I'm glad that now with Messenger, you can now go for even 2 minutes because I'm like, but even I'm like, oh my gosh, I just did 3 minutes of recording. I gotta stop. I even when I do the like Instagram when I send a voice note to you, and I see that I'm sending a lot, I'm like, I gotta stop. I don't want to overwhelm the person and give
Well,
them
then also
space.
you see I'm like at 50 seconds. Oh gosh, I only have 1 minute. So what can I put in the last 10 seconds? Which is good because sometimes on WhatsApp, if you just get talking, you talk with people, and then it's like can get up to 6 to 10 minutes sometimes if you're on a ramble, and that's a podcast. It's not a
Yeah,
text message anymore.
yeah.
So fun fact, and you do not know this, so I saved this for now. So I just checked earlier to make sure, all the facts are right about how you and I connected and how we met. And in a couple of days, it's our 1 year anniversary of the day that we connected.
Oh my
What?
God. It's
Happy
been
anniversary.
oh dad, I should have brought the champagne. It's just I actually I can't believe it's almost a year.
I'm telling you, I checked and I was like, all right, let me go through. And I was like scrolling and scrolling because, like I said, when we talk, like there's a lot. So I looked and so this is what happened. So about a year ago in March, I found you guys on YouTube. Don't ask me like how, what I like YouTubed, Googled, or whatever. But looking at the date, it must have also had something to do with around that time I had Kevin Commit on my podcast doing a VO Corner Part 1. And I was like, where can you find stuff? And he's like, there's this cool indie developer website called Newgrounds. And, so I first thought, did I find you guys there? Were you guys ever like on an indie website?
Uh, I mean, the thing is that we recently actually made a website. I don't remember ever.
Because when I check,
Just
I didn't see it. So I don't know how I stumbled across, but it must have been around that time. And I know I saw you guys and I saw you had an Instagram. I went to the Laundromax Instagram and I DM'd that account and I was like, hey, love what you guys are doing, blah, blah, blah. Are you looking for any voice actors? And then on April 17th, so a few weeks after that, you hit me up from your personal Instagram account. You're like, hey, really cool. I'm so sorry. Like for our pilot, we already have the main characters, but, keep in touch. But 2 weeks after that, you hit me up and you're like, so if you're interested, I actually am looking for a voice for promo. And I know we haven't done this one because it went really fast after that one. That was the Kirkwood one. Welcome to Kirkwood. We're blah, 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 blah. But I think it was an AI voice or something. That was the first one, the first job you hired me to do. And you kind of told me there may be another character. She's not in the pilot. She might come later. And then that whole like thing just spiraled and developed, and there was Officer Mary Abbott.
yeah, actually, the going back, I remember when I received a message. I was like, I was just checking on Instagram because here's the thing. I've never been too much of a social media too much, but the thing is that it was actually a friend who actually pushed me to, hey, we got to put this in social media, Instagram. I'm like, okay, and so we actually did, and thing is that later on, as we were trying to gain some traction, I was mainly focusing on Instagram, but when I received a notification from in the message and I saw you, I was like, oh yo, we got a message, guys.
Woo!
I was like, oh yo, this is kind of awesome. Like and I saw it and I'm like, oh yo, that's cool. That's really cool. But it took a while because you was like thinking about it because like I said, but we already have the voice actors, the pilots technically already we already have an idea of what it is and
And they're
all.
so cute. That's why I got to you. Oh my gosh. If you don't know what Laundromax is, like check out my Instagram account and then you can get to theirs if you can't find Laundromax, but it's like Laundromat, but Laundromax, which we're going to get into how all of that happened. But oh my gosh, they're so cute. All of them. And they're so relatable. It's freaking adorable. But tell me, okay, so how does one just decide to start an animated series? Like what?
Oh, actually, okay. So
Take me there.
well, I think it's just like a lot. Well, for me, it was looking at an ambience. I was actually okay. So the thing is that it actually started in a laundromat. I went to a laundromat with my family, and I think it was the first time I ever been to one that I was like, I mean, that I can remember. And I was like, oh, yo, this is kind of cool. Laundromax. Because we at our home we had a laundry machine, but this was recently the when we moved into the new town and I had to leave my childhood home, which was a little bit sad because I was, being raised almost my whole life there. I was kind of really sad about it. But in that time I already had another idea working on it. But when I went to this laundromat because they didn't brought in yet the machines and connect them in our home, and we had to do our clothing. We went there, and the thing is that I couldn't stop looking around. I was just admiring the place. I don't
Like,
know
was
why.
it a nice laundromat or was it one of those where you like want to get popcorn because stuff is like happening?
I, I would say the latter because it's not like it was a fancy looking one. It's just everyone's like washing the clothes, like
It's
folding
so
or
intimate actually because you think you have to like make sure you have your underwear. Like, I don't want people to see my underwear or what.
yeah. No, it's just like, but it's just so weird because it was just kind of like I couldn't stop looking. But then when we put everything on the side and I sit down with my dad, and ideas were popping in my head out, but it's just I was not trying to like get into it much. But then my dad leans close to me and says, "Hey, this would be this actually would be a good idea for a show or something." I'm like,
Hmm.
so when I went home, I grabbed a sketchbook and started sketching ideas. I was like, okay.
I think you need to go back a little bit because what's your background and where are you from? Like, tell me a little bit about that.
Oh, okay. Well, so I was born in Puerto Rico. So
Puerto Rico?
yeah, man, it's beautiful island, and to be honest, I still sometimes feel like, man, how from all the places in the world, how is it I was born in Puerto Rico? Because it was just kind of feels like an island in the Caribbean, and it's still kind of like always perplexed about it, but I really love the islands, especially the people are really really nice, and the culture is so rich. It's so diverse in cultures because
Yeah.
um, one of the things we mainly do in the island is always celebrate, like honoring the three cultures, like the European, the native, and the African. We always have
Aw.
we it's like, and also the like our past history, like in terms that of the tumultuous times, but at the same time, I always see like the many times that the island went through, and then what it becomes today. Uh,
Yep.
but I think it was being that like we were being part of like a U.S. territory. We always had access to certain things that we and later on you had the media media coming in, and you have these movies, which I have to say, like, I don't recall what, but I know that animations were a big part in my English. I have to say that
Aw.
because mainly Spanish, the main language. So but somehow I caught the English, that to the point that when I would go to this local fruit market, and I always talked, they were like, "Oh, you're not from around here, right?" Like I'm like, "No, I was born and raised here. You see me here." What? It's
Well, it's
like,
funny that you say it because the obsession with like American culture is like everywhere. I mean, I was born and raised in Germany, and it's so hilarious. I grew up in a few different parts, but in a city, and there were people from everywhere, from Russia, from Turkey, from Iraq, from Italy, from everywhere. But everybody, especially at the time that was into like hip hop and R&B, would like start wearing like the baggy pants and everything. Everybody
oh,
wanted to be American.
my dad is like, but when I mean, I know the Bee Gees are Australian, but when the Bee Gees came in, my dad and the everyone else in the '80s were just rocking it there, like with that. I'm like, I mean, to this point, my dad, I barely. The first music I would hear mostly was like Bee Gees, like from my
That's
early
cute.
and opera, because my dad would also like he was in the chorus in his university, and he always hear these other opera singers. He's a big fan of Pavarotti, and he was like,
Oh, nice. Yeah.
like if you catch him, he sometimes he sings Nessun Dorma. The song is it's a really beautiful song, but the thing is that he actually he has a really good voice, but sadly I don't have that voice. I do not. But but
Well,
yeah.
Elijah's voice is very good, which we're gonna get to. But so you're from Puerto Rico, and you said you were sketching, and you're the creator of Laundromax. So did you go to school for something in animation or art?
Yes, I went to study in this college in the northern part of the island in this town called Guaynabo in Atlantic University College. It was, from what I could know, it was the only one that could actually teach animation, and so even though there was maybe another one, but it was like really unknown. This one was the main one that was really could give you maybe the tools to really get into it. But even when I got in there, because I was in college before I even created Laundromax, I was trying to figure out myself. It's like it's when you're in college, you're trying to figure out like, oh,
Who
because
am I?
here's
What do I want?
yeah, like actually, I was actually gonna study medicine
Wow,
before that.
that's different.
Yeah, I was like, but you know what? Is crazy thing is, my dad was the one who told me, I think you could pursue a career in art. I'm
Oh
like,
my God, I need to meet your dad. He seems so cool.
yeah, like it's just
Go
that.
bring him in.
Oh, I actually would, but it's like, I'll tell you what. It's just that like I said, he sings, and he also, well, he has a group that he sings with. I was actually cooking something for them because they after they had a moment of singing, they like to like eat. In Puerto Rico, food is the main thing, and so it's like, so I had to grab like a piece of pork and roast it in the oven and everything.
Oh,
Yeah,
I could go on a tantrum. Let's not talk about food because
I, I'm I'm
I'm
sorry.
gonna get extra hungry today. But so while you were in school, that's where you met your team, right? That you created
Yes.
Laundromax with.
Yeah, actually, man, it's like I do miss those years, and it's good that that we're working still together and we're still in contact. But I really love those years. Actually, it was even before the project. They are really, I have to say, they are one of the most talented people I ever known. And they always pushing and pushing. Like I aspire to be like them. They're really awesome. So
Aw.
and
It's
like
good to have your tribe. Seems like you found your tribe. So, how many people are in this team, and like, how do you divide the duties? You know?
Oh, well, it's actually been so well, recently we've been trying to get more people in terms of like commissions, but in terms we started at first as maybe like seven or so, because it was just that whoever was available. But I would always say that the main ones we always were like in terms of 4 or 5 people mainly. Mainly I would say four, because at the end after college we had to deal with other things, and so we would have people come and go, like they do the task, and as time passes you begin to like, well, people like who were able to like do it, maybe like, hey, here's, I do it because I want, I want to
Yeah.
like as a gift, but it's like, yeah, at the same time I would still feel uncomfortable, like but then they were able to I would start to actually paying commissions, like I would actually, I'm starting to actually do that more. And but it's always been like mainly for like, I just want to make a quick shout out to like Cristian Rosado. He's one of the producers, a good friend of mine. He's been and he's like I said, he actually, there was a moment where I was actually alone in the project because we had people, things would have to be dealt with, like, and there was a moment I was alone. I was like, well, if it's gotta be me alone finishing this, I'll do it. But then actually I get another call from my friend because he was working in the project, but he had to do other things.
Yeah.
So I, because like I said, after college things get a little bit hard,
It's
and I
different. That's real life. You got to pay bills,
and I was surprised. I'm actually surprised that he actually called because he recently was finishing something, and he was like, "Hey, I want to come back. I want to finish it with you." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, sure." It's like, and then he started like, "Hey, let's push on with social media," and it's like, and he's like, it's thanks to him. And then after that, it was almost like a domino effect of in terms of people coming in. Like, after that, I have one of the animators, Brian, who is actually a friend, a good, who's an amazing animator. He's a rough animator. He's like the quickest and really talented. And the thing is that after that came Kevin Del Valle. He puts himself not as maybe putting himself producer, but I tell you, he is a producer. Like he's been also a heart into this. I really appreciate each and every one of them for what they've done, and others who have been there as well. But if they had to move, they had to. And I always, understood perfectly they had to. Like, so I
Yeah, I
shout
mean,
out.
it's a hustle too, so sometimes.
Uh, but yeah, but it's not like not. And so I always try to make like, hey, you know, we we support each other what we can, and in the end, like, you hope to return the same because I'm saying everyone leaves. This is the thing. Everyone leaves a little piece of them in the project. Like many people that I've known who actually have been through this project, I say I'm blessed that they were, they have a little piece of them in it because I'm like my friend Kevin de Ballesteros is like, it's like the Thanos gauntlet, like you have another one. Like, and I'm like, oh dude. So yeah, it's been a ride, really, the whole thing, and we're really trying to this has been really a great momentum and it's helped us to push more and getting
Yeah.
closer to finish the pilot because we at first like we were trying to like it's also hard to get some other animators as well, so we're
So
trying
are
to.
you a group of animators? Like all of you are originally animators working together, or do some of you actually have a different background and role?
Well, to be honest, I study animation, but I tell you that I struggle with it. So I've mainly dedicated on the in terms of like maybe editing, storyboarding, voice acting, script writing. Like if I had to make a revision or so, I would have to like I try to do things that I could if I didn't have the skills in terms of the animation. Like that would actually I always trusted with Brian, who's the director of animation as well, and Christian, who's actually also like he's a beast as well, and especially in cleaning animation. Kevin as well, who's also a beast. And like so, yeah, everyone is like trying to they're working it. I try to like, okay, let me see if I can do here, we can do that there, and in order to get things moving, at the same time you have social media that is like, oh man, what can we post? What we
I've
do?
struggled with that too, honestly. It might not seem like it, but I'm more like a private person, even though I'm all over the place. You wouldn't think so. I'm like an extrovert introvert. Someone was like, do I like need to share that I'm going out right now or what I'm doing or that I'm auditioning? But I'm like, so posting really is also hard for me, and I know for a lot of people it is. So I can totally understand that. Um, at the end, I'm definitely gonna pop in some clips for you. Stick around, and then I'm gonna show some clips that you can see what Laundromax is about. But speaking of voice acting, so you are also the voice of a character, and I think if you had to define the word what character means, Elijah is a character. We have like a rough like animation here, and I'm about to share it. Hold on a second. This is Elijah.
Aw, man, it's gonna take all day. If we start now, we're gonna miss the annual Rambunctious Rambo Ray Round Race and Bonanza.
So what's always up with the rum raisin? Why do they love rum raisin?
There's a logical explanation to this.
Who likes raisins? I don't understand. I
Hold on
always pick them out.
Wait, hold on a second. We gotta listen. Raisins and got the blame of being raisins. Okay, it's just that. Okay, there's even a Puerto Rican dessert in the holidays that is like arroz con dulce, which is like it has raisins and.
It's a rice pudding. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And
we have it in Germany too, but I always have to. I don't know the texture. Maybe when they're frozen, it's different.
The thing is that it's true. I mean, like I think you could say that maybe rum raisin is old people ice cream if they want to say. I mean, I actually there's an ice cream shop in Puerto Rico in this town called Rio Piedras in near the train station of Rio Piedras, where it's an old ice cream shop, and they actually have rum raisin. I tried it there. I was like, oh, actually, it's not bad.
Is there rum in that rum raisin?
I was maybe I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Just in case. But I mean, it could make sense why Matt likes to eat it as well. Like, I don't know, but it's like I always see like, okay, Elijah. From what I understand, there's some rum raisins that maybe, but I always try to like, okay, yeah, like maybe Elijah being is an old man. It's like a child stuck in an old man's body. I would describe him because the way he's just like, how to put it this way. I don't even know. I try to think of like why not to say too much about it. It's just that you see him as this way of like being all joyful, like, or maybe you too exaggerate. You would think like, hey, shouldn't you hold it back a little bit on the ice cream, old man? And always just rummaging in any sense of like consuming, and he dragging his friend Matt.
I actually think the first thing I watched was when they were trying to do a promo in the series for the Laundromax, and Matt was like, I don't want to do it, and he was like, how about if you get some rum raisin ice cream? I think that was the first one I watched, and I was like, that's hilarious. How do you even come up with it? And we're about to get kicked out. I don't know, Zoom is like not nice, so I'm about to get out here, hop back into the link, and then we're coming right back after commercials.
Oh, it's so hot outside today.
Hey, kid, wanna cool down? Then try the most popular ice cream in the tri-state area. Grandpa Willard's famous rum raisin ice cream. The secret is in the sauce. Warning, Grandpa Willard contains high doses of alcohol and would not be held responsible for any damages it does to your liver, heart, brain, or if your child ends up in the middle of Tijuana.
Hello, Kindwood, and welcome back to Kindwood News. I'm your host, Jose Rios. On today's news, local laundromat owner wins unlimited supply of ice cream. Unfortunately, we don't have any video footage, but we do have audio. Let's take a listen.
Unlimited supply of ice cream! Take that, Seamus!
And that's all the time we have for tonight. See you next time on Kindwood News.
Vibe Check Apparel. You feel it, you wear it.
And we are back from commercial break. Thank you, Zoom. Didn't we all need a little break? All right. So we were talking about characters. So that's what I want to know. Who was Elijah even based on? How did that even happen?
Originally was okay. So back in college, I actually my older cousin, he actually was studying there. He actually came later. And when I saw him, I was like, "Oh, yo, that's so cool! You're here!" Like I actually always wanted to interact with him. He was. I didn't know much about him, but I really wanted to interact with him. And then he started to do like comic books with his friend. And so I have to say that it was initially based on them. When you have the early drawings, you see them. It's almost like similar, but somehow they evolve. And I try to get them a little, and so consciously
So
I try to get
inner child. Is it more the inner child, or like the old man, or like a combination of it?
I would say yeah, because it's like I mean the guy who I based Elijah is a joyful guy. I would say cool guy too, but he doesn't have a beard or anything. Actually, I think it's maybe the hair and the glasses, but it doesn't have a beard. Later on, I added the beard, maybe to give him to be.
What makes him so perfect? I mean, that was such a good idea.
Actually, initially with Bob was okay. Oh my gosh, Bob. Okay, so let me explain with Bob. It's just started as a simple illustration that I did. I just wanted to put them in a wacky situation, and somehow my head was like, "We can go more." Go more with this, and I started to dig into like maybe Bob it was on a mission or something, and so I made it that it was actually something more personal for Matt. At the same time, I think it was like maybe defeated by the chimpanzee that got him like, oh, I need to know if I'm still on the edge or something. I don't know.
It's a real dangerous chimpanzee in an expensive suit.
Yeah, I actually was like, you gotta be really tough. Like I've seen like chimpanzees like they put people to shame in terms of like man.
They aggressive. They like very territorial. So you found the right animal. So you got the childish old man Elijah. Then you got the more serious but reserved Matt. Then Bob, which whole nother game. I know for when the pilot comes by. I also noticed from the first sketches and like moving animations of Ferguson, right? Is her name?
Actually, this is the thing. I'll tell you this. Her real name is actually Fulvia Santiago. I feel ashamed in terms that I put even Santiago because that's my mom's side of the family name. But I was like, okay, you know what? It's a cool name. I barely hear it. Let's put it there. And I was looking for a Dominican name in terms of like maybe something because I was making her background in terms that her dad is Dominican, mother's Puerto Rican, but I feel like she leans more into Puerto Rican, but still like her father gives her the name Fulvia. And so I actually wanted to give her this sense of like, I want a nickname. And she wanted like, it's almost like an initial steps of her character of like, she uses she calls herself Fergus. She gets a bit uncomfortable.
That's it's very like, teenager like, oh, would you give me such an annoying like old name? Ugh, nobody's even gonna know how to say it.
Yeah, I'm actually been amazed. Because even I've seen example like some people from maybe Arab countries, the kids try to pick names when they're in Canada or in the US because maybe it's like, oh no, they call me Billy, but that's not your name. This is your name.
Yeah, like I have friends too from Vietnam where it's the same. They like pick like an easier name, so it's whatever. Like my friend, like his wife, she had a complicated name to pronounce, and my friend's name is Kenny, in the American name, and she really liked Kenny, so she said I'm gonna be Kendra. So that was really cute. So it's Kenny and Kendra, and like for American.
Yo, actually, oh no, but. I think this is why Fergus has become really relatable. I mean, at the same time,
I love that. I told you the relatability of it. First of all, like this whole team of Puerto Ricans making this like awesome like animated series, and then the background, how you're explaining, I wanted her to also have this like Dominican like influence and how the upbringing really plays in, even though that's not the main thing that the show is about, but the characters, a minority type character, is so relatable.
That's why I actually wanted to. And the thing is like there's being an outlet, you can find so many. So you can meet so many people in an outlet that it gives you the chance of meeting other cultures and other people, different backgrounds, and so that's why I like that idea, like of exploring the outlet itself, or like you get to meet some like an interesting character or so. But with Fergus, I also needed to make sure the put the balance. It's just that I also do it for story's sake. My thing is a story. I try to like each character. This is hard for me because creating these characters, I see them, each of them, as a protagonist, but I know that for a story, they require to the audience needs to follow someone. So I'm like, okay, so for the pilot, after we decided like, okay, let's then follow the kid of church, but once we actually get other episodes, we can actually start following, okay, who are we going to follow in the episode? Fergus, Matt. It's like because one of the things I wanted to really do is character development. I want to really see these characters grow and people get to know them, their pros and cons of themselves. And you know, it's just something I really enjoy. Like, I think is I have them in my mind. I always like I can see how they grow. It's just that you want to get it out there. You want to like, oh, I wish I could just get it already out of my head like that, and that way people.
As in creative, that's super hard. But speaking about I mean, 5 years from concept coming up with a team, and you're not doing it full time and getting paid, you still have to work a regular job and then, you know, rely on the people in your team and then people that you commission, like me, to provide, you know, what you have. Which, talking about characters, I really loved about that, how with Mary Abbott, when you told me who she was, because you said how there's a piece of like everyone in there, and you didn't know that my background is in law enforcement and military, and I was like, I love the shit out of this.
I tell you what, I was actually surprised about that. I was like, oh my gosh, no way. It's the thing. This is the thing, because I think people would think, oh no, you probably checked her background or something. No, for real, I did not know. I just like, okay, I'll explain quickly about the creation of the character of Mary Abbott. So I was trying to like, there was already some time trying to find a character, especially someone who was, I think, like a sort of conscious for Matt, like someone to trying to, I would say, get the best, you know, trying to push the best out of him. Like she's like being like this voice, because you could say like, well, Elijah could, you know, is there with him all the time, but you could always see that Elijah sometimes pulls him doing these things, and I was and there's a lot of layers to this. But so I feel when I did the Mary Abbott, and it was like, oh well, you know, presenting Mary Abbott, like, and I was, first of all, I actually was sketching the designs. I was man, I'm liking how this is actually coming out. Like I did different types of designs for her, and when I finally was able to okay, this is the one, this is the final design, and it was actually in 2 weeks. When you said like 2 weeks, yeah, like in that time I was like brainstorming the character, because at the same time I heard your voice, I'm like, man, it's actually a great voice for a character, and I could like, oh well, you know, it'd be good a positive character. Some, you know, like, and so I would say, and I was trying to think about names, because I had characters with names, but I didn't like. I was, okay, what if I take this name and find a unique name maybe that works in Georgia? And I found Abbott, like, okay, Mary Abbott, there we go, and then you had the first post of her, which I don't know. I like the idea, like, see, like Matt trying to, you know, try to get himself out of the situation of the ticket, and he tries to do his way, and he's like, and she's like, nah.
But your direction on it was also so great, because I mean, we were really just working asynchronous, kind of like, oh, you're like, here are the lines, and I record. And I remember for that scene, you had something specific in mind, and you sent me a recording. Like, I think this is kind of like the attitude that I wanted her to have, and I was laughing so hard because it was so funny how you dived into this female character, even though she has like this voice. She's like, "Afternoon, gents, license and registration, please," like whatever. But oh my gosh, it was so hilarious. I was listening to it. I always had a hard time, even like with a singing background, when I work with guys that like, all right, this is the line. Like when I recorded my own songs there in Germany in a studio, and I had somebody working the harmonies was a guy and the producer was a guy. So they'd be like, all right, this is where you go, and they're like, and I'm like trying to match it. It's like it sounds different when a guy does it than when I do it. I want to hear a girl do it so I can kind of match it. I get so in my head. I overthink everything, but I love that you get so animated and so into it. I like feel the emotions like immediately, and I always feel like I really want to do justice because it's so much closer on the sense. Like, I mean, obviously every job or audition something comes in, I try to get as much into character as I can, but when you know someone's heart and soul is into it and you're like close to that person, you really want to do extra justice. So
Oh yeah, oh, that's like actually that's something I was always do when I was presenting storyboards. It's like I voicing them alongside with them, and at the same time when I try to make a reference for people, I do struggle I confess I do struggle sometimes directing in terms of the voice acting, but I try to find like, okay, this is how I would like for it to sound, and I try to see like, and this is sometimes I do like, however, that when people already done the character so many times, I tell them this. Okay, so I do like 3 recordings. I record it 2 times from the line, but the third one I tell them improvise it. I would like to hear what you would actually, how would you play with it if you improv it? And I always like to see what the voice actors kind of come up with. Like I love that, and there's been really good. And this is the thing, at the end, if it works, awesome. If not, okay, then I have already the one from the script.
hey, it's playing around. I hear that a lot. A lot of more veteran voice actors say that too, even when they audition. Like, I'm gonna give them what they asked on the like first take, or if they want 3 takes on the first 2, and the third one, I'm just gonna do me. Maybe they like it, you know? So
Yeah.
that's good advice. Sometimes you can just do you. Maybe they like it.
Yeah, I actually encourage that. I encourage that. First of all, if you're gonna try and do audition into these characters, I'd say as you learn to them, just like do you really want to do the character? And just first do the lines as they requested, as you said. Well, man, if you actually feel like it, just let's go with it. Like, see it, like maybe, like you said, like maybe they're gonna love it more the character side, because it's almost like you're giving a piece of yourself into this character, because you're like, maybe you find some. It's like you find something that you relate with.
Yeah.
And this is why I'd say, like, for example, the voice actress of Fergus, she's been since really the beginning doing the voice, and I really don't see anyone else doing her voice. It's like
She's so cute. Oh my gosh. She's like really the perfect voice for it. I know, do you have like a Kickstarter or Patreon or something people can like support if they wanted to?
Well, we actually did a coffee.
Oh yeah, coffee. I saw a post. Yeah. Where can we find that?
Well, you can easily find it. Like if you go actually to Instagram, the first post that we tagged, that's the first post you're gonna see. It's gonna you press on it, and then it's gonna give you a link to actually go to the coffee. And if you want to donate, we also are, and I'm trying to announce this, but we don't have an official date. Is that we're trying to work to make a Kickstarter campaign, because
nice.
We want to, like, what we try to do was. We're trying to make the final details on part 1, because we're really just, I think one shot is needed to be animated, and that's being in the works.
Yeah.
But after that, when we got everything there, then we can just like concentrate on pushing the Kickstarter, because we wanted to make it that, okay, instead of having the Kickstarter to help us in the beginning, let's just have it midway. That way we all decided, like, okay, better for them to see that we have something worked, so that the potential backer can feel a little bit more confident, like comfortable to donate, seeing that, oh, part 2 is the next. And here's the thing, part 2 is shorter than part 1, so that should also make the potential backer a little bit more confident that, okay, no, this project will be done. And the purpose of this is like, is to get more people to work in the project, and so we can actually
There
finish.
seems to be more people that are looking for work. There were just recently a bunch of layoffs of animators, again from big studios. So you see a lot of indie animation actually popping up everywhere because all these animators are out of work, but they're passionate. But now, with all these social media and platforms and YouTube, a lot of shows that get picked up, like they start on YouTube. So, I mean, if you're looking, this is probably a good time to find. But if you want to donate something to Laundromax, the coffee, Kofi. The coffee. So we're about to get kicked off the air again in a few minutes. So you said you've been working with your team on this for 5 years. You have to stream. You're getting started. What is like something you would want to share with somebody who's just starting out, somebody who wants to, make their own animated series show?
Well, I would actually, that's really thinking about it. It's just, yeah, if you have an idea and you're like, sometimes like people, I always take in reference Star Wars, because a lot of people did not have the confidence that Star Wars was going to be successful, and George Lucas still went with it. And surprisingly enough, it was like if I recall, I heard it was Steven Spielberg who then told him, like, you can do, like, you can do it. And I feel like, yeah, sometimes the right people can be really the ones who push you. Like, obviously there's some people who probably tell you like, oh man, it's not gonna work. And I say, you just started this idea. There's something that is calling you to do this idea.
Yeah.
I'd say it's not. I would say, yeah, be prepared and be conscious enough to be ready for this journey, because this is a journey itself of making this idea come to life. I'd say is to, I'd say, like, you have to muster the confidence, and at the same time, when you surround yourself with the right people,
right people.
Yeah, like you can make a lot of wonders, and that's what it's been for me in this project. Like I mentioned, like, there was a moment where I was alone, and I was like, well, if I have to do this by myself and finish it, even if it takes me 10 years, I'll do it, because I started it and I wanted to finish it. Like, yeah, I always feel like if I start something, I just don't feel at peace if I don't finish it. I need to do it. And then later on, my good friends came, and they helped in where we at right now. Like, it's been a really big push, and I'm thankful for them, really, for their support. They're the best. And also my family as well, who've been supportive, because it's a struggle, and sure, but I'd say if you feel it, like, this is I like this is a great, go for it. Then I obviously, yes, we have responsibilities. I got to work at this job. Like, I wake up at 3:50 a.m. to get to it. So yes, obviously do your responsibilities, pay your bills. But if you got spare time and you got this idea, hey, I tell you, I think there would be a satisfaction of doing it, to know what comes out of it.
So you have the idea, you have the passion, you should definitely have the drive. Surround yourself with the right people and be patient, and just keep going regardless of what other people say, and make it happen.
Emphasis, a lot of patience.
Yes, and I mean, any part of the entertainment industry. I mean, time flies. It's ridiculous. But you work. I've really reached a point where I know my day job that I have, it really is only my day job. This is what pays the bills, so that I can work on my dream. And I know you too, you're hustling. You're not doing your job because not too many people like doing what they're doing. But I couldn't even imagine working like a regular job and then in 30, 40 years kind of still doing whatever, retiring. I don't know. I love what I do. And in the entertainment industry, you never know what other pathways, might come in, what connections you have, what you might be doing. There's no way I want to stop. There's no way I want to stop.
No, and actually, it's really, first of all, I would say it's been a morale boost. Like, when I saw, like, your work, I'm like, yo, this this voice actor is at a different level. I'm like, for real, like it's so to be honest, to have your talent involved, it was like, oh, this is really awesome. And I would actually get frustrated. I'm like, man, I wish if I would have known sometime earlier, I would try to actually have like a cameo or something. But still, I wanted to find a way to add a character, have something for like to really have your talent in there, because like
I
for
really
real.
love that. I mean, I reached out, you were like, hey, whatever, but then you're like, hey, I listened to it and I think it could fit, and you made it work, and it just grew into something. And I would have never expected it. You know, as a voice actor, you deal with a lot of rejection. Just on a personal note, it's been really hard, like week. I haven't really been a lot on social media. It's been rough, just so much going on and like trying to reach out and you don't hear anything, and then there's rejection here and you're trying and you see you're actually moving forward. I can see it. But sometimes you're just like, come on, universe. Come on. And you're just in the rut. And so I was really excited knowing that we were meeting today to do this podcast, because I don't have that much interaction besides, my day job. Then I hop like in the booth or like, take care of stuff at home to interact with other people in this. And this is a whole different kind of connection, because you're the animator, the creator, and you're a voice actor in your own show. So to have you on here for me was amazing, to give like a little glimpse and also share passion together in a time when it's hard. That's why community is so important. Like, the smile is real, but the last few days I was really not feeling too great, and just knowing we were going to talk, and now that we did, I'm so happy, and I know this is going to be a good weekend. So I really appreciate you hopping on. We got to laugh together and talk about your journey and how we met and connected and where it's going. Stepping a little bit behind the scenes of something that's not voice acting or something else I do. And we share a little bit of culture. I always love sharing that, because the podcast is called German Chocolate Life of a Mixed Girl. And I always try to bring in a little bit of spice from somewhere. So I really, really appreciate it. So I know we're about to kick out, so you hold on. But for you listening right here, this is it. We're out of time. We're off the air. Go check out Laundromax. Go donate some if you got some. Spread the good vibes. And have a wonderful day or wonderful evening. Adios.
Adios, amigos.